What's up, guys? Welcome to Superwise. I'm John, and I just have to get this video out there so you guys know my thoughts on this whole situation that's still going on. I really do feel like I have to talk about it because I am a Snyder fan. You guys know this. I am a huge SnyderVerse fan. I mean, I adore Man of Steel. It's one of my favorite comic book movies of all time. I really like Batman vs. Superman. I love Zack Snyder's Justice League. And while not a DCEU proper film, I mean, Watchmen is absolutely amazing. So yes, I'm a Snyder fan. Zack Snyder is a very divisive director with divisive reinterpretations of classic comic book characters, and I totally get that people don't like his vision, but I personally do. And shortly after Zack Snyder's Justice League premiered on HBO Max, after we all watched that movie, and for the most part, a lot of us were blown away by it. We really enjoyed it. We wanted to quote-unquote restore the SnyderVerse. Now, for a lot of people, restore the SnyderVerse means totally ditch all of Warner Brothers DC plans, scrap the Batman, scrap Blue Beetle, scrap everything that isn't Snyder. That's not me. That's an extremist and irrational mentality. What I meant by restore the SnyderVerse is that have those plans, but I want to see the SnyderVerse continue in some capacity, maybe on HBO Max, and have maybe a sequel and maybe some spin-offs. And as a fan fresh out of Zack Snyder's Justice League, I was all on board for restore the SnyderVerse. In my DC videos, I was like, let's do it, let's restore the SnyderVerse. But now, it's gotten to the point where, I've already moved on, It's not me, I'm ready to move on. No, I've moved on. The comic book movie realm does not belong to Snyder. I, before, was excited for other DC stuff and Marvel stuff, and after Snyder's Justice League, I'm still hyped for a lot of Marvel and DC stuff. I'm super unbelievably hyped for Matt Reeves' The Batman and Black Adam and Blue Beetle and tons of MCU stuff like Moon Knight and She-Hulk and Blade and Fantastic Four. There's so much greatness and other interesting great visions aside from Snyder, and I'm making this video because of the Snyder extremists, cultists, because they do exist. Before and shortly after Zack Snyder's Justice League, they weren't as bad, but now it's gone to the point where it's unbearably annoying and it's embarrassing to be a Snyder fan. Now, I'm not one of those fans who were former fans, but now because of the cultists, I just hate on everything Snyder. I'm joining the bandwagon. No, I hate people like that because they're just ignoring their true selves and being hypocritical and disingenuous. Don't like those people. These cultists aren't going to ruin my love for Snyder. I love the SnyderVerse, but I also love the MCU, and I'm a comic book guy first. The comic book realm does not belong to Snyder. I loved Marvel and DC before Snyder, and I'll continue to love it after. I've moved on, and I'm enjoying so many of the new comic book movie and TV shows. I mean, it's awesome, the content and the time we're living in. We're so lucky to be living in this time. But these cultists, man, the Snyder fandom, the toxic Snyder fandom, really is the worst fan base. I hate to admit it, but it is just the truth, because the dumbass stuff that they come up with is just so freaking annoying. Like, they took a shot from that amazing Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse teaser, and instead of liking it or trying to bring out the positive things about it, they took a shot of Miguel O'Hara, who made a similar stance of Henry Cavill in Man of Steel and said Snyder is the blueprint. That's the new thing nowadays. Snyder's the blueprint. Apparently Snyder owns every shot in any film now. He is just God, and he owns everything. Everything is his. He created everything. It's absolutely absurd, the claims these people, these extremists make, like saying that The Flash and Wonder Woman weren't popular before Snyder. They act like we didn't have tons of TV shows and movies and video games. It's just, they're trolls, they're extremists, and they're annoying as hell. These Snyder cultists are not DC fans, they're not Marvel fans, they're diehard Snyder fanboys. it's clear. It's clear because they don't want to move on. They don't want to accept other visions. They don't want to open themselves up to something else that could be great too. They're just solely they're Snyder fanboys. They praise Snyder at his feet. It's absurd. It's gone from parody to actual reality. Don't get me wrong, I am a level-headed Snyder fan who is, a casual fan who really, really enjoys his vision. And there are tons of people like this in this fan base, but there is a huge, huge majority that are just absurd. They're crazy. They're actually insane. And a part of me is like, don't restore the SnyderVerse now, because they're whiny babies, and they are gonna attack everything under the sun. Don't restore the SnyderVerse. Don't give them what they want. They're gonna have to move on eventually. Because if you restore the SnyderVerse, now you're gonna be enabling these extremists, and that's gonna give them more power. So it's a very complicated, complex situation. And I just need to get this video out there. This is my final word on the SnyderVerse. I haven't been saying restore the SnyderVerse any time recently in my vids, but this is just saying that, hey, we got Zack Snyder's Justice League, and if that's the end, that's a happy end. Zack got to complete his vision for the most part, and he made it for his daughter Autumn, and it's a great ending, and I've moved on. If the SnyderVerse gets restored under Discovery, hey, that's hype, because I would love to see like a Nightmare spin-off film. I'm definitely open to that, but then again, if you restore the SnyderVerse, you give the cultists more power so they can rub it into other people's faces. It's this whole thing. But this is my final word on the SnyderVerse. I'm super excited for DC and Marvel's future. I've moved on, and I'm happy. I'm happy that we're getting this awesome content, and I'm grateful that we're getting all this content. These cultists are not grateful. They're stubborn, and they want to stick to one thing. That's unfortunate, and that's sad, because it's making me and tons of other casual Snyder fans who like this vision, it's making us look terrible. But that's the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you think about restoring the SnyderVerse? Do you want to see it restored? What do you think about these cultist extremists, man? Because they're out of control. It's this whole complicated situation. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. That will be all for me. Remember my catchphrase, guys. Stay Superwise.